All right, everyone, welcome to BBA Podcast, episode 5. We got a couple new hosts this time around. We got Mehlum Anjarwala over here from Chicago, uh, three-time BBA captain. He's going to be a captain this year, one of the under 30 captains. Multi-sport star as well, plays first-round pick in BBA, MFL, Frisbee. So, an all-around athlete.
Yeah, thank you. And with me, I have Huzefa Raja. Not gonna be as cool of an intro for me as he's gonna have because he's a nine-time captain. Been in 4 finals, so he's up there like every year. He's won twice, so he knows about winning, something I have not done in BBA, and he's also an MVP. So I mean, amazing resume for BBA, and he's also been at the top of every sport. We've had our battles together in MFL. So, he does it all, football, basketball, tennis, doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is fun. I've we played together in other tournaments, so it's been fun. So I know how much of a competitor you are. So every year BBA is going to be even better. So I did want to ask you though. You've played in a lot of different tournaments. What's one thing from another one of these tournaments that you would like to see implemented in BBA this year?
Yeah, so I think it would be cool if we like added some more skills challenges. I know that we had like, the 3-point contest like before, but I was just thinking about like the All-Star game and how, they have like their whole like, back and forth, layup, pass, shoot the three, whatever, like, time challenges. I think like if we could get like all the teams to do like, how last year they had like all the teams do like team challenges together. I think that'd be dope so that we can, bring teams together a little bit more, not make the skill thing where like, oh, only one person from each team can participate.
Yeah.
So I think that would be cool. What do you think? I just that's something came off the top of my
You know,
head.
I I like where we're going with like the multimedia thing. I think Tufts does an awesome job of marketing and like kind of the hype videos, getting everyone excited for the tournament. So I think that's a really cool thing. And it's kind of happening with BBA as well. The streaming, it would be cool to have um like some way to stream every game, not just one game or the finals or the playoffs, but a way to kind of stream and archive all the games. Because I know there's a lot of us who kind of will go back and start watching these videos after the tournament and like analyzing everything. So it would be cool to have it all kind of archived properly.
I mean, I like, love to think about like after the tournaments, I just go in Instagram like, oh, I could have made that shot or,
Totally, totally.
could have done that. It's like
Yep.
those things are,
Yeah.
to look forward to. So, yeah, it'd be awesome to get all of them. And, you can do some more analysis, like, scout after day one. That's like
Exactly.
another idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, like, so it's cool how many people show up to these tournaments and watch, but if you can like broadcast it to people maybe who aren't able to make the trip to Toronto or whatever, it just kind of expands the reach of the tournament and just helps it grow even bigger and bigger. So
100%.
that'd be a cool thing. But the hype videos are also pretty cool as the tournament gets near.
Yeah, so going off that, like, what do you think, you're talking about how we can, evolve our game and keep bringing stuff from other tournaments in. So how do you think, like BBA has, on the right side of things, like what have they done over the past, few years to help evolve the game? And, you've been in it since the beginning. So,
Yeah,
what's been really cool from your perspective that you've seen from, how BBA
I
has evolved?
this is what's the best thing for me about BBA is that how much it's grown since it started out as an idea. And so we're talking um, first tournament was what in 2012. And at that time, like everything has evolved and this tournament's willingness to change and try new things, that's been the coolest part. And just kind of being on that journey with the tournament has been awesome. So I think we started back in 2012 in the committee, and I'm probably leaving some guys out, but it was like Timmy, there was 44, Sam Bomburi was on it, and so they were planning it. And that first year, there was only like 8 teams, and the committee made the teams. There was no draft. They're just like, all right, I think this will be fair. And I don't even know if we had enough guys because the eighth man on our team his name was Agnish. He was just a guy who, super cool guy, Agnish. If you're out there, man, love you, man. But yeah, he just showed up to our like weekly games, and I think we just needed an extra guy. So like, he wasn't even boring, and
Yeah.
and so
Can
that
you
was
imagine the
like,
outrage that would happen today?
yeah, I mean, that was like we got tons of people, so that wouldn't even be an issue. But so that's kind of where we started, and then as the years goes on, the draft style changed. You went from the committee making the teams, then they did like a proper like snake draft, and then they did like co-captains, and even one year they did free agency. I don't know if I think this was
Oh yeah,
before
I
you.
do remember free
Do you
agency.
remember that? I mean, it was their willingness to try it was awesome because for those of
100%.
you who weren't there, it was you had the first 4 rounds picked, and then after that, slots 6 through 8, the captains basically had to call, or contact all these other guys and be like, "Hey, man, do you want to play for me? This is the kind of team we have. I think you'd be a good fit." So it totally flipped the script on what a traditional draft is, with the captains like yielding all the power, and then having like those 6 through 8 guys who normally get picked later in the draft, now all of a sudden deciding, okay, well, I don't know if if your style fits my game and all that. So I mean, I think the captains, the feedback was that they hated it because like now they're on the phone like begging these guys to try and sign on their team. But I think it was a
But hey,
cool
that's
cool
that's
thing
that's
to try.
fun though. You
It's
get the
fun.
players get some power too, right?
But yeah,
And
yeah, let those
sometimes
guys.
the players gotta eat too.
Yeah, yeah, let them find a good fit. So as it is, they're probably coming off the bench, so it's like let them play with a team that they have a good
Yeah.
role on. And that was some of the feedback before, where it's like some of these guys were like, I flew all the way over here and I didn't get him as much time. My captain didn't know how to use me properly, so I think that was kind of the idea behind that. And I thought it was fun. And then evolved now to the auction and the G League, which I mean is super cool. But it's like the first year that like you know I'm not a captain. The draft takes like 2 days. In the past, with the snake style draft, this draft has taken like 2 weeks. I remember like being on vacation and like, hold on, I gotta like make my pick. Um, but yeah, even and so like, tell us about that jersey you're wearing, man.
Oh, this one I got
Yeah,
that H-Town jersey from last year. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, it looks like the real thing. Like, if you were to go
it,
to NBA Arena, you'd be like, wow, this is cool. I know, like
yeah,
Baby Conch last year, he put Stockton on the back of his
yeah,
Jazz,
yeah. I
and
like
I was
that,
like, man, that looks like a real thing.
like
I
a
mean,
real Stockton jersey.
this thing is awesome. What about you? What do you got on?
Yeah, I got on. This is my 2022 Jamali Gardens Fitris one. We won the championship on this team with Tuza Sabir, Husnain, Dosaji Husnain, Hashmi from California. This one actually isn't the actual game worn jersey. This is the game worn jersey. I did a jersey swap with Hustler, so I got his game
Oh,
worn jersey for that one. But this one they did a second run of jerseys. This was like the original print that they were going to use, and so I scooped one up for myself. So I
oh
got
yeah.
that one. But yeah, like even the jerseys, like that has evolved, right? So they start off with just cotton shirts with your name and logo on it, and then it's gone to like they evolved to the dry fit jerseys, and then that California tourney they had the full jersey and shorts, and then last year it's like
It gets better every year. I
it's
mean,
like the full NBA
no, it's like
jersey, the
beautiful to see.
throwbacks. Yeah,
And like, I mean, the print, everything, like it's improving every single year. The quality of the
that's it.
material and like
Yeah,
to get this quality of jersey like on your back, like that's something you carry with you. Like,
yeah.
I know
What?
I'm gonna carry with this with me forever. Like this
Yeah,
is
yeah. What do you think is going to be like? Do you think Toronto's going to pull any surprises with the jerseys this year? What's
I mean, I don't know if there's gonna be any surprises, but somehow it just ends up being better every
it'll
year.
end up being better? Yeah, hopefully they got some cool surprises. I was thinking like maybe full warm ups one year, maybe get
Oh yeah.
like
For swag, that would be
what
amazing.
about like shoes for everybody, like matching shoes? That would be
I
pretty
mean,
sweet.
after like that one year where they had like the Wilson basketballs with like our names on it,
Oh my
it was like
gosh,
the bar was set
unbelievable.
so high that year.
That
It was like,
was
oh,
that
like
was
what's gonna be
unreal.
next? Like we're gonna have like full kits after like a couple of years,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
basketball,
mean, that's
shoes.
the cool thing. Those basketballs, like when you show up to like weekly basketball, like we're still using them, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like it's such a um, practical thing to think about, and then to customize it with everyone's name on it. I mean, that was really
I think
cool.
it's, yeah.
But speaking of like swag, you know, like what I've got to, I think the basketballs would be like the number one thing that they
100%,
gave.
yeah.
Any other ones that stand out to you?
I mean, the bag was really nice too, because just speaking of like practical things, that one year they gave the bag, like, I still got that bag. I still use it sometimes. Like, it's cool. It's got your name on it, the BBA logo. It's
The
just things.
Houston one, yeah,
Yeah, the Houston one. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
not like which year that was, but that was cool as well.
I think it was 2011, 2021. Yeah,
2021, yeah.
yeah. So they had the bag, they had water bottles with your name on it, a bunch of other
Oh, those the
stuffs.
Match Sports water bottles last year are phenomenal too. Like, also very,
Yeah,
it's just a
yeah.
good water bottle.
I thought
Super.
last year those sweatshirts were pretty cool too with your name on
Oh
it.
yeah,
Yeah, those
those.
personalized sweatshirts. So those are the cool ones. I think one
Got a
thing
favorite out of all of those?
the basketballs for sure, and then
Yeah.
I would probably rank the duffel bag because I still use that, and then I would probably say the personalized sweatshirts. But let's see what Toronto comes up with. I think
High
you know
expectation.
high expectations for sure, for sure. Um, but even going back to like BBA's innovation, right? Like the website, I think Mohammed Anwar has done an awesome
Yes,
job putting that together, and like it's such a cool way to just archive everything, and aside from just the stat tracking, right? Like that part in game is cool, but like the ability to go back and look at stuff is really cool.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, you can make all sorts of like, do whatever you want statistically. Like,
yeah,
Dire by Muslim by last episode, we're going all over like, all these
yeah,
like old teams. Like, like
doing
what other leagues do you have out there that are doing this? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
it's such a privilege that we have like, Muhammad Biden created like such a great
Yeah.
website.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool idea. And like there was that one year that they even like expanded it to like fantasy BBA, right? So
Oh
now
yeah.
like everybody's just like logging in, like creating their own team and for us as players, it's just cool to be part of it. But then now it's like, you got people saying like, oh man, you're on my fantasy team. I need you to step up. That stuff is kind of cool.
When they DM the football players on Instagram, it's like real life now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any what would you suggest? I think Mohammed has been talking about like upgrading the website and making some some changes. What anything that you would like to see?
Yeah, I think like what would be really cool is that, right now I think like the BBA stat tracking is phenomenal, but just in terms of thinking about like the growth of the website as a whole, like they use it for so many other sports now. They're using it for, toughs and all these other sports. If we can get like itemized like, new apps for each specific sport, like I think
Yeah,
that would be super cool. Like
yeah,
what do
yeah,
you think?
yeah. Like going back to like retrospectively looking at stuff like the data, and it would just be cool. I think some of the reports, be able to like parse through that data and sort it a little bit easier than it is. Like I think improvements could be made there. So that kind of stuff I think would be awesome, where it's like you can start, really kind of playing around with the data and getting some cool charts and graphs and kind of
Yeah.
all this stuff.
I was just thinking about like last night, if we could do like more statistical analysis, like if there's an algorithm built in there where you can look at like, shooting percentages on certain days, like,
Yeah,
how it drops from Saturday to Sunday, or,
yeah, yeah,
how people like, how, in terms of playing time, like, like prevalence of, stats, injuries, whatever it is, you can like
yeah.
figure these things out, right? Like if you
You
can
can
get like,
kind of
what you're
yeah,
saying with graphs and like all that stuff, that would be
like
that'd be
drill down
awesome.
to like matchups and all this stuff like
Yeah. Oh, head to
the
head, like,
head to
things
head.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. I
So much
know.
stuff to do with
It
that.
would definitely add to like the trash talk in the
Oh, yeah.
in the
It's like,
future,
hey,
right?
Muslim Guy was already saying last week about like his record with like Dyer by Hamid. I was like, man, that was a
Yeah,
great,
yeah. It's like,
great goal.
you can talk all the trash you want, but then you bust out some data.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Stats don't
Um,
lie.
yeah, that's the one. So I think so. So there's been evolution in the website and jerseys and even like in the sponsorships, right? I think in the beginning it was just Amarukani and Aero Travels sponsoring it. Jamali Gardens also has been there from the beginning, and that now and like they were looking for sponsors, and now it's like we got sponsors for every single team, and then
Mhm.
different tiers of sponsorships. I mean, the support has been awesome. Um, I think a lot of the sponsors like understand how much this means to all of us as a whole,
Yeah, it's a
and
big privilege. Like we wouldn't be able to do like the capabilities that we have in of the tournament with like we just talked about swag. Like you don't
yeah,
get that unless you have like like these jerseys that we talked about. Like you don't get
yeah,
jerseys, a well organized tournament. Like those things. Like we don't just care about playing basketball. Like all these things we carry these like as memories. Like means a lot to us. And like when they give their contribution, like that means a lot to us. Like it helps form our experience.
yeah. I mean, for what we get for the fee, it's pretty cool, and a lot of that is subsidized by the sponsors. But now might be a good time to kind of cut to highlight one of these sponsors if you want to go ahead and do
Yeah,
that.
I would love to shout out my teammate Kusebike Alol and Q Recycling. Q Recycling has been providing civil construction services to the Houston, Texas, and surrounding area since 2011. They specialize in commercial, residential, and industrial projects, and their management and staff handle all types of civil construction, from demolitions, site clearing, excavation, concrete work, to drainage installation. So, if you are in the Houston, Texas area, you need any of those things taken care of for you. You have Kusei Baikalol and Q Recycling.
Awesome. Yeah, they were a sponsor of our team last year. So big shout out to them. They've been super supportive for a long time too. Um, Now, I mentioned that first BBA, right? There was like 8 teams, and that has ballooned also, right? So like it's gone from 8 teams that first year, then it went up to nine, then 10, then 12, then 14. And then the last 2 years they started the G League. So 2023,
Really good.
2024, 12 plus four G Leagues. And then this year, record number of signups, 14 teams, six G League teams. I mean, that growth is awesome, right? And
Yeah.
that's
Props to
I don't
committee for like adjusting. Like,
totally.
you got to go from 8 teams, however many years ago to 18. Like, you have way more to manage. You have way more court space to deal with. So, I mean, it's awesome to see that, people are coming out and we're accommodating for that demand, getting
Yeah,
everyone involved, making sure everyone in the community gets like opportunity to participate. Like, G League has been a huge ad because, no
yeah,
one feels like before it was like, oh, you don't get drafted, you get left out of the tournament. So
yeah, yeah.
you can't
And
improve. Yeah.
totally props to the committee for like giving everyone an opportunity, right? Because it's not just about winning the tournament, but it's about just kind of coming together. So that part's been awesome. But like how they've managed the G League, how do you feel about that? Like year one, I think they were just how was it? They were just in the tournament, right? I think that
Yeah, like
2023,
yeah, they were
they were just in
basically
the tournament with the
yeah,
regular teams, and they were
and
just
then like
getting
yeah, because I remember day one we had yeah, I remember like there were teams because there was the whole controversy over like, oh, some teams got to play a G League team, some teams didn't, so
yeah.
they like, you know,
Some played
one
them twice, or
one last game to like play. But I'm glad that they're like, taking like input that we are get like the committee's taking input that we are giving regarding the G League and taking into consideration. And I think like this year, they've adapted the system where it's going to be like, G League tournament only, which I think is really cool because then you get to see more of these G League teams going head to head. We get to watch it directly and
yeah,
fully get to see like what these kids are capable of, right? Because those, these might be people that you want to draft in the following years. So you get a better scouting of like, hey, this is what they're capable of in this environment. A lot of times, like, when I felt like when they were playing the main teams, they were just getting completely overpowered because of the sheer amount of people. But when you have like a more concise tournament and with the G League, it allows people to like, individually show their like capabilities.
yeah,
Not that they're like they can play around their teammates. It's more catered to, the skill level of the game. And I think that allows them. I mean, we had so many people from the G League last year enter the league this year. I mean, that's what you want to see, right? That
yeah.
growth. And I think that's like now we're going to see that even more than ever with the new G League format. I mean, what do you think, like
Yeah,
regarding?
I agree. Like initially, just throwing him in with the main teams was rough, and uh, but to, even then, what I was impressed with just how hard they played,
Oh yeah,
and it
they
was
no one wants to
awesome.
back down.
They didn't back down from anybody, and like they played hard, and they made a few games pretty close. I mean, remember that game last year uh, against the Knicks? They had played against I don't know what team it was, but I know Zizzy was on that team, and Zizzy was
Yeah.
he was giving it everything he got, and so that was fun to watch. Man. I think everybody was watching it.
Oh,
Everyone was excited. Everyone was rooting them on. I don't know if Zizzy's in the tournament this year, man. Yeah, I didn't see his name, but
yeah, I
wherever you
know.
are, Zizzy, man, let's. I know you got thoughts. Get your crew together. Get all these youngins together. Let's hear your thoughts on the BBA. But yeah, I think it's cool. Last year, I think that format with the playoffs was a little bit weird. I don't think I would have done it that way,
Yeah.
but I think they got it right this year. And it's not even a developmental league anymore. Like it's a lot of you know older guys who just want to be part of it too, playing with their kids or whatever. So it's I think there's something for everybody in these
Yeah.
tournaments.
Everyone gets a chance to play, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Uh, let's see here. So I mean that's kind of was my spiel on the history of the BBA. I think it's been awesome. The growth has been awesome. I think a lot of tournaments have kind of sprung up because of the success of BBA and just the idea. To start off, it's kind of a small idea and turned into what it is now. So now it's like literally international this year, and
Canada expansion is just like unbelievable. I mean,
yeah,
I was, when I was drafting this year, I was like, man, I'm seeing like 70 names that I've never seen before. And like
yeah,
that's something that, like incredibly cool, right? Like we get the privilege to like, play with these like, build new connections, not just, play
yeah,
basketball with these people, but like build new connections with people who are in our community who are like, we're deeply connected to. So yeah,
yeah. And even like these younger guys, or like uh, you know, they their goal is to play in the BBA.
yeah.
They're like 10, 12 right now, and like they're like, oh, in a few years I'm gonna keep working, I'm gonna play in the BBA. I mean, it's awesome that like
Boys,
that's
my
their
little
their
brother, he
goal.
talks about it like all the time. Like
Yeah, he's
when
like,
I play, I'm like,
you
put
can't
on
wait,
50 pounds,
you
you'll
can't
be
wait.
ready.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact that we're at that point in this thing where it's like kids are dreaming about it,
So excited. So much
it's
excited.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
What's
well,
your favorite thing about BBA? Like, just on that.
I what I like about BBA is that it's one of those things that we do for the love of the sport, right? Like there's no money to be won, there's no prize, you're not gonna get a promotion at work or anything like that. It's just about playing basketball, with each other, and so like the purity of that is awesome. The fact that you gotta like work to like prepare for this thing, it's hard. It is really really hard, and so like you have to prepare, and you just can't roll out of bed and play, and so that takes time, and so it just kind of builds up like good healthy habits. um and I mean like you don't take anything for granted. I mean I've been playing in this for 11 years, and it's every year is difficult, and you know advancing through the playoffs or getting far, getting to the finals, like you don't take any of that stuff for granted. I think you look at someone like Hustler, who's like pretty much arguably the best player, and he's been the best player since this thing started. He won in 2012. He won again in 2014, and since then, I think he's made one final since. So it's super super hard. It's been over like 11 years. So some guys have that success early, and that's all well and good, but uh, you got to earn this one, and
Yeah.
and I think that's what I love the most about it.
I think like that's definitely the reality I'm trying to adjust to is like, you might have hooped in high school, but it doesn't matter. You have to like, the competition level is up here now and like you have to earn it. Like, I've
Yeah,
come to some of these tournaments, like early on thinking like, oh, I got all the skill in the world and it doesn't matter, you can just go play. But and these tournaments are gritty, they're long, they're
Yeah,
really
that's
tough.
part of it. I mean, like, there's a lot of like things just got to go your way. Um, and
Yeah.
and it's just a 2 day tournament, so it's not like you have a long season or it's just over those 2 days. Like a lot of things got to fall your way to have success. But so those are my couple things. But what are your favorite things about BBA?
Like obviously you mentioned the competition side, and I can't argue with that, but I mean, I think like the biggest thing that I've like gotten out of it is, the brotherhood and, just being able to like, play with my friends. Like last year, I had a really fun team. I got to play with, like Hamza and Mo, and that was like, just some of the best like some of the best memories I've had playing BBA. It's like, you get to play with these people, and then you also get to compete with people who you're also friends with. And like,
Yeah,
you not only build that bond within your team, but you build bond through like competing against people who are your friends as well. And like, like building those connections for me, like, we keep saying it again and again, but like, like we look forward to these tournaments all year just to get the chance to compete, with or against our friends. And like that, it's like, because, you can go play pickup at the rec or,
yeah.
join whatever team that you want. But there's a reason that I feel like we place so much more importance on like BBA, because when you're going against people who like, you love, it means that much more to you.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's crazy, but like the success that you have in this tournament lasts forever,
Yeah.
right? Like,
People still talk about it. Like,
people still talk about it.
we're
Yeah,
still
we talk
talking
about
about,
well,
all these chips that you guys are
yeah,
winning.
yeah. I mean, like what Hustler did in that first year, that finals game. I mean, people still remember that, and that was 13 years ago. So that's pretty cool. How about your favorite? That was your favorite thing about BBA. What's like the your favorite memory or the favorite team you've been on since you started playing?
Yeah, I mean, that team last year, I mentioned I had so much fun just because, like the group I was with. But
Yeah.
I gotta give a special shout out to my Houston team when I was on Yusuf Ali's team. Um, I think that was 2021. That was after the COVID year, right after the COVID year, I think.
Yeah.
That team was like, I don't know, there was just something about the energy on that team. Like Yusuf Bai has a great way,
Oh,
like his energy is just so contagious. Like, you play with him, you're his teammate, you're around him, like because of him, like, it's just a really like our group was really together. Like I didn't know any of these guys going in, and he put a lot of trust on me in that tournament as like, I was but like the tournament before, after we skipped the COVID year, I was like 14, and then I was 16 when I played in that tournament. So,
yeah.
you know, just because I was like younger or whatever on that team, he put so much trust in me, and like that was fun to play around when you have a captain and a group of guys around you who like, they don't see you for your age. They want to hoop, they want to have fun,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Farouk Bai and QV and Murtaza
QB,
Bayrawa. Like that was
Rawa, Omar
electric.
Yamani. Yeah, yeah. You had a bunch of
That was
veterans, and then it was you.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was me. But that's the thing, like, you regardless of me being, that age, like I had such a blast. Like that was such a fun tournament, and that tournament that I really thought we should have won. I know we
I
lost to Hustler in like the
think
semi.
we like everyone says that about every tournament, but
No,
yeah,
that
certain
year was
ones.
such
Yeah,
a such a good
yeah,
team. But
yeah.
tough
Um,
loss at the end.
yeah,
Too
that's
much
how it
on
goes.
me. That's why a little bitter about it. Just, that Yusuf Bai's like, go at it. It's your shot. Take the last shot. We're down two against Husler's team, like the semis or quarters, whatever it was, and
uh,
just couldn't get it to go. And like when you get a group of guys that has that kind of confidence in you, it's just a cool feeling. Cool feeling.
yeah.
What
I
about you?
think
I know you've had your fair share of chips, so I'm sure you can talk to, your favorite,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I do want to. I think Daher told a story on the last podcast about that 2016 team when he won with Kotari and Daher and he was telling the story about how we got into the playoffs and we lost the first game and I fouled out in the first half and Kotari was and that's all true. Okay. But what he did what he didn't what he didn't mention was that after that game he sits us down, he calms us, he calms me down. Hassan, calms Kotari down because he's going wild. And he's like, all right, we got to change something up. And he was like, we're going to go box and one defense the rest of the way. And I'll get, and Dahir's going to cover their best guy. And so from that point on, the teams that we played after that, it was Puzzler, Riz, Mustan, Tuza, and then the finals was Ukani. And I mean, these guys are all in their prime, and that was Ukani's MVP year. And I mean, the defensive job that Dahir did was unbelievable. To this day, I will say, in my opinion, that was the greatest playoff BBA performance I've ever seen. I mean, and the thing is, when we're talking to these younger guys out there, it's like that will never show up on the stat sheet. Mm-hmm. But for those guys who know ball and for the guys who were there and saw it, it was unbelievable. And I think there was one point in that finals too where, Dahir picked up 2 quick fouls on Amir, and he had to sit out. And I remember he was like, all right, I got to sit out for some time. And we were just all looking at us like, what do you want us to do? Like, you got us this far. And at that point, like, Abbas Al-Qamri came in, gave us some quality minutes, and we just kind of held the fort down until Dahir came in and finished the game. But that, to me, he left that part out, but he deserves his props for that, because we wouldn't have won without it. And it's those defensive performances. I think every tournament there's some defensive stopper or some standout.
Every winning team, I've looked at it, like every winning team has one guy that just takes so much pride in it, and you have to have that on your team. Someone who doesn't care about the stats, someone who doesn't care about, like, I don't need the ball in my hands. I just want to play defense, and like that's.
So that, like, to all the new guys out there, like, if you're looking about a way to like make an impact, that's by far the most impactful thing you can do. 100%. Just play defense, step up to the challenge, and just outwork everybody. So yeah, I mean, before we move on, I think that, and so one of my favorite years obviously was that 2022 year that we won it, and that was we had it was me, Tuza, Hasnain, and Sabir Rasiwala, and playing with him was awesome. I think he was one of the highest IQ guys that I've ever played with, and he just, he did everything well. He made good decisions, and that part was awesome. But like, our sponsor was Jamali Gardens, and I think the following year in California, Riz's team at Jamali Gardens, they won the whole thing. So I think there's some luck in having Jamali Gardens.
Yeah, 2 in a row. I did see that.
Yeah. So,
cool.
They've been a supporter for a long time. So I want to just kind of shout out Mukarrambai Burhani and Jamali Gardens in New York. It's a wholesale source for florists, wedding event planners, stylists, caterers, hotels, decorators, set designers, exclusive decor, floral, home, holiday, lighting, festive products. Adds the extra touch to your wedding or small, more intimate affairs. So the choice for top designers in New York, LA, Miami. Visit the website at jamaligarden.com and explore the possibilities to take your event to the next level. So yeah, thanks again for that support. For one of those guys who supported this thing from the beginning. So I'm interested to see what team gets his sponsorship this year. But I wanted to kind of go from that into, some topics about some knowledge that we can kind of impart on these younger guys as they, take on bigger roles in the BBA. So this year, all the captains are 30 and below. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on like the challenges of captainship, and specifically, you kind of came on the scene back, I think, with Amir Puna in 2019. You said you were like 14 years old at the time. Yeah. Then you played a couple tournaments after that, and then you became a captain. And so that first year, I think you had a few bumps. You had a solid team, but you had a few bumps along the way. And so, like, talk about like the difference between being like a stud player on the team versus being the captain.
Yeah.
and the
So
challenges with that. I think from that moment in looking at how you did last year, I think your the leadership you showed last year was, you showed great strides in that. So I think you obviously learned from that first year. So kind of tell us about that.
So, like, I'm just gonna talk about, like my first year that I was captain when I think it was 2022 when I was 17. I picked up Baby Ganj first round, and then I also had, Shabir Bai and Hassan Bai, who were amazing basketball players. Shabir Bai, I'm lucky to get to run it back with him this year. Hopefully, different outcome. But what I didn't understand that year about being a leader is that you actually have to lead. Like, I just thought, oh, if I pick the right players, basketball work itself out. Like, who needs to lead a team when you just play basketball? Like, it's just pickup, right? Like it's BBA is not that. Like, it is the epitome of like you have to, because guys will come into tournaments with great captains who basically set an expectation for what they want out of, not like a set guideline, but expectations of what they want out of players and what their team is going to look like. And I think I had no idea what that was going to look like as as a skilled 17-year-old. I was coming in, I was like, oh, me and Baby Gon's just going to rip it up. Like, we're going to score 20 points a game, which we did. We both scored 20 points a game, and we lost like literally every game. So it just like goes to show that, you can't just manufacture points your way into, into wins. You've got to have, some structure in your team. You've got to have good ball movement. You've got to have communication on defense. You have to rebound at a high rate. And these all take a captain who is willing to like instill that in their players. Because if you have, for example, from my perspective, like, if you're gonna have a captain, me, who's, gonna chuck 80 shots and then, not hold up, my end of the rebounding or hold up, my end of like, bringing the team together defensively and talking. Like, these little things really matter, and you need a captain who is willing to motivate your guys to do that. So,
Yeah,
like, to the younger guys who, like, my biggest advice to you is, to the younger captains especially, like, who are doing it for the first time, Zakir, like, make sure you come in, with a plan. Don't just, oh, I'm gonna outscore everybody and it'll be all good, right? Like,
right.
you have to understand that what you want out of each guy in your team, and how as a whole how you're going to function as a unit, which is something I didn't think about the first time around. And that's what I really thought about last year, and the success I had as a captain last year is like, how do I draft a team that collectively will do all the things that I mentioned. Like move the ball well, shoot the ball at a high rate, play defense, rebound, be gritty, and I think that was reflected in our record and how we performed. I
Yeah,
remember we absolutely got killed by you the first day and on the first game, and we were just like,
yeah,
where do we go from here? And it's like taking that experience, recalibrating, and like me stepping up as leader and saying like, here is where we have to change. And I was like,
yeah,
you know what? We got to bring someone else to the point. We need to move the ball better. We need to, figure out how we're going to attack zone. Those are the things that you really have to think about as the games go. And
yeah.
that's definitely what I've learned.
And I mean, to your point, right? Like you can have an awesome game plan leading up to it, and then that first game you get punched in the mouth. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you
How are
going
you
to
gonna
find?
make those adjustments on the fly and keep your team believing that they can win, especially after a loss, right? And so I think you did an awesome job with that last year. And so now you've kind of got another taste of the draft. Has your drafting style changed kind of going forward?
Yeah. So I mean, another thing for all the young guys, here's what I looked for this year. Like based on my success last year, I was like, and watching the NBA playoffs this year, like, shout out to H Town. I loved watching the Rockets this year. Like they kind of influenced my draft style this year because I was like, what are the really high skill things that like all these winning teams have had in the past? Like we mentioned, some monster defenders. I remember from your championship team, you had Hasnain, Tuza, yourself, like certain guys on the team who were going to take pride in playing defense. Like,
Mm,
I remember last year, like, one really valuable lesson I learned is that, we got to the, whatever part of whatever round it was, I think we were playing Tuesday's team in the final
yeah,
game
I
to go
think
to play you guys.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was
It
the
was at
semis
the
or, yeah,
Elite Eight, yeah,
quarterfinals, yeah, Elite Eight. And shout out to Tuza. He taught me a very valuable lesson. Like sometimes if you're a better defender and you just want it more, you're gonna win. And Tuza
You
took me
guys,
out of it. And
you
like
guys were up big that game, right? Or no?
yeah, we were down 20. And
You're
then we
down
came
20.
back
Oh,
at the
okay,
end.
right.
We were
Okay.
down 20, and then we came back at the end and came to one final shot, and then I missed it, again. But
Heartbreaker.
you know, like he basically followed me all game, said, I don't care how young you are, how much you can move, I'm just gonna stop you. And that's what happened. Like I just got completely taken out of the game. And
Yeah,
when you have guys like that on your team who are willing to, not just use their athleticism, but put in straight effort on defense, that is one really high winning, high, like one skill that you just cannot teach. So that's why,
totally.
I took Mo again. I took Amar.
Yeah,
I took Murta Shubbear. Like you wouldn't think it at his size, but he loves the guard. Like he will get up in your face. And I think
yeah.
that is like, what I was looking for when I was drafting guys. Like I need 8 guys who love to play defense. And
Let's talk about that a little bit because I think that's a cool thing. And even I draw from that. You drafted guys like Muhammad Danish, Amar Danish. This is his first tournament, but you know him well, right? We played
yeah,
together on the MFL team. You play frisbee with these guys, so like you know them well. Like that's kind of is that you've never seen Amar play basketball, I imagine,
yeah,
right? But
no,
like you
never.
still picked him anyway, right? Like I think there's certain qualities, right, that they have as a competitor, as a teammate that you feel like translate. Is that kind of how you were
Yeah,
thinking?
that's like definitely where I was going. It's like when I play Amar, like, when I play him in Frisbee, I mean, he's a freak athlete and
Right. Yeah.
but it's not about him being a freak athlete. He's going to give you 100% the whole game. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like if I ask him, like, hey, I want you to go guard the number one guy on the other team, he's going to be there like in their face the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's the expectation I have for Amar coming into the tournament. Like Mo, same thing. Like these are the type of players that, these guys are. They're not just my friends. They're guys who take pride in doing these things. And that's why like, that's how I thought about, my draft strategy. That was one thing I definitely thought about. I also thought about offensive rebounds because
Yeah.
seeing that Rockets team take like Golden State to 7 games, like with no real scorers, I was like, if you can get guys who can get you second chance points, like a tall team,
Yeah.
tall athletic guys, like I took Adam and Hamza and a lot of
Yeah.
guys who are tall, they're athletic, they love to rebound. I think that's another thing that like, I'm really looking for is like guys who are gonna box out, no second chance points for their team and create second chance points for us.
Yeah.
That's a big indicator of success because everyone on second day can't shoot. Can't nobody shoot. But
Yeah.
if you can get the board and put it back up or, create more chances for your team, you get better chances.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter about your height or whatever, but you know, uh
Yeah.
if you're athletic and willing to rebound, that really helps. And then I also take like 3-point shooting into consideration as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I
keep
feel
the
like
ball at a high clip.
you've got a
Kusei was
pretty
an absolute steal for me. I mean, like that was 12
yeah.
bucks for Kusei who shot 65% last year. Like that's
Yeah. He still got it.
yeah, I still got it. Um, but yeah, that's my
Cool.
whole spiel. What I thought about drafting strategies. I mean, obviously you weren't a captain this year, but you've done
Yeah.
it so many times. Is there like first, like, what I talked about, any tips you have for the younger captains, as they start this, because you've done it so many times, what it's like
Yeah.
to be there. And then also same thing, how do you feel about draft style, how you would approach that, and what does it take to win? Because you've done it.
Yeah. I it's an overwhelming thing sometimes, especially for a new captain and for all the reasons that you talked about, right? Where it's like you have a plan, it's like, okay, we're just gonna go out and ball. Everyone just ball. That's how hard is that, but it's those moments, say that like after a loss or like there's a close game and you're in a timeout and you're in a huddle and you have like 14 eyeballs on you and everyone's looking to you as like, all right, what do we, like, and you feel like what are you going to say in this
Yeah.
moment to get the best out of your guys, and that's something that like it's hard to prepare for sometimes because you don't know, every situation's different, But I mean, I think as you do this more, and that's what I would say to these captains, like, even if you struggle in the first year, the fact that you have this opportunity, like, take advantage of it. Like, you'll get battle tested, and you'll learn from every experience, where it's like, when these moments come up, you'll be able to draw from these experiences of, all right, guys, like, let's all chill out. And sometimes the message, it's going to be different, right? Sometimes you need a more calming message, or sometimes you just need to, fire everybody up and let them know, like, hey, like, it's go time. It's time to get serious, and it's time to really focus. And sometimes it's like, you just have to calm everyone down. Like, a loss isn't the end of the world. We can learn from this and get better. So, I mean, that part of it, I think is a learned thing over time. And the advice I would give to, like, the new captains now is that everybody on your team has value.
Yeah.
And it is your job as the captain to find out what that value is and what they can bring to the team. And it is your job to have them have a good experience, because the idea is we want to grow this thing and we want everyone to have a good time. And then B is, like, find a way to put these guys in the best position to succeed. And that is your job. It is not their job. And, and that starts with communicating. And you communicate before the tournament. You find out, like, hey, like, what shots do you like to take? What do you do well? Like, what scenarios do you feel most comfortable in? And get all that feedback early, to try and do that in the game or on the fly is a little bit harder. So, like, it takes a lot more. It's a lot of work behind the scenes, and, just kind of preparing and having a plan and having a rotation and managing all that stuff. It takes away from, like, your focus on basketball, and that's what makes being a captain harder. So, like, you'll notice that, like, a lot of guys, they'll have amazing years, like their first year, their breakout year, they'll have amazing years, and there'll be a huge drop when they become a captain. And that's, I think there's two reasons for that. One is that, like, their only responsibility is to play basketball, right? And then they can just play. And then two, it's like a lot of guys, these guys burst on the scene, and then in year two, it's like everyone knows who you are. So you're not the fourth option. You're the first option, and everyone knows, your game, and they're trying to stop you. So, those things are just kind of add to complexity, but it's an amazing opportunity, if you're able to do it. And so I like the idea of how all the captains are under 30 this year. It's time, and so I'm excited to see, and it's a lot of, like, first time players and first time captains. So we'll see. But I'm excited about it.
What do you think about the dynamic that it's going to be with, like, some of lower tiered players being, like, captains? Do you think that it's going to be their responsibility to, like, manage a lot of the team? Do you think that, some guys who are, older guys, like, for example, you are on a team with Mustafa Burhani, who's a great player, and he's been a captain in MFL.
He's a great
leader. He's a leader.
Totally.
Like, you don't have to worry about him being leader, but, you have a lot of wisdom to get as well. So how do you think, like, the dynamic is going to work out with, maybe not an issue on your team, but other teams?
That's a great question, because, like, Mustafa Burhani is one in a lot of sports, amazing leader. But, I think with him, he's also self-aware, and we had a few conversations too, and he was talking about, he's like, hey, like, if you kind of want to run the offense or do this part of it, or, like, he's delegating certain things because he knows where his strengths and weaknesses lie, and he knows what the strengths and weaknesses of his own team are. And so, like, he leans on it. And that's I think a quality of a good captain, where it's like, find out what your teammates are good at, and if you can, like, kind of offload some of that stuff to them, and if you trust them enough to do it, then let them do it.
Yeah.
And kind of just be able to support them along the way in case that, they need some help, or if they're getting pushback from other team members, say, like, just kind of back them up and give them the confidence they need to, like, to do their job. So, I think that that's another quality of the captain, where it's like, you don't have to do everything, and there is a lot of responsibility, but you don't have to do everything. In terms of, like, a winning team, I think, you talked about all just kind of the fundamental things, right? The rebounding and all that. And I think on the teams that I that I think over time you develop a captain style or a leadership style,
Mhm.
right? And some guys are softer, and some guys are, a little bit louder and more aggressive. And as you kind of settle into whatever your style is, and that's unique to you, I don't think, Mehlum, you need to try and be like Daher or anybody else, right? You need to be you and find your style that works for you. And then once you do and settle into something that you're comfortable with, it's about you finding guys that fit that style, who respond to the message and the way that you deliver it. So, I mean, those things are important. And for my teams, I think I'm tough in the sense that like I try and hold everybody accountable. And I tell them from the beginning, I was like, you're here, and whatever the reason you are to be here, like you're accountable to yourself, you're accountable to your teammates. Like if your parents sent you here, you're accountable to them. They spent their hard-earned money sending you here. If you have a family back home, you're accountable to them. They're taking care of the kids and the house while you go play basketball. So it's like you owe it to all these people to give your best effort. And so like I think I've been on teams with Maher a bunch of times, and I love his game. He does everything well. He prepares well. Like he keeps his body in good shape, and he's just ready to go. But one thing I love about having Maher on the team with me is like he holds me accountable.
Yeah.
Right. So like if I turn the ball over, I do something stupid, he'll tell me. He's like, you got to cut that out. And
Yeah.
so like I appreciate that, and I can't really say anything to him because he does everything it takes to like be ready. So, having guys like that on your team is huge.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's definitely what I mean, didn't mention it, but obviously like what I'm looking for, high character too. Like
yeah,
guys who are willing to listen and buy in, right? And like hold each other accountable, right?
yeah, for sure.
Huge.
Now, well, I think how much time do we have until the BBA? Is it what, 2 months left? What,
I
May,
think there's a
June,
lot of
July,
time, 3 months.
August? Yeah, so there's 3 months left.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff are you doing now to train for
Yeah. So
BBA, or
I mean,
has that started?
yeah, I mean this year like I feel like I'm starting to feel like, wow, it's been a lot of tournaments and I haven't won yet, and I need to take the prep seriously. Like this year, like not that I have, last year I did definitely prepare for the tournament and but I think like this year it's gonna be even longer. Like, one thing I'm doing, I mean, right now I got tough next week, so staying in really good shape for that. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
trying to get in good shape for that. So, that getting in shape for the tournament for BBA, starts now. Like it builds with tough, and then in the gym, getting form shots up. I'm staying in the weight room, like, just consistent things every
yeah,
day. Doing it, uh, busy over the summer right now. Got some things going on, but still, even with that, making sure to like, take out time for
yeah,
what I need to get done. And this preparation, like, I'm glad the draft app happened early because like now it gives me like that. I feel like now with like the podcast and everything, it's keeping me like super motivated. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I like BBA. I don't care if it's 3 months away. Like I'm getting ready today, right? Like,
Right, right.
and I'm hyped. I'm amped. I'm
Yeah,
ready to win. I
that's
think I got a
awesome.
winning squad this year too. So,
Yeah,
taking those things seriously because like as you said, like, you gotta have accountability with your teammates, but also with yourself, right? And I think like me holding myself accountable for Saturday, Sunday is holding myself accountable now
right.
and putting
Totally.
the prep in right now. And I hope my teammates are doing the same because
That's a
that's what
great
I
point.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
What about on
yeah,
your end? You're getting a
yeah,
little older,
yeah.
but
I got
every
it.
leader you gotta, keep
Got a little,
the
yeah,
oil
got a lot of
running, right?
miles on these links. But yeah, no, it's kind of the same thing, and um, just the preparation, and kind of to your point, like playing other sports kind of keeps you in shape. So like for example, I'll play a lot of tennis, and that'll help with my footwork, and I think frisbee is an awesome cardio workout for BBA, right? The kind of running that you have to do with the sprints and the cuts and all that stuff. It translates well. It's harder, but yeah, I mean, like all that stuff is important, and it's I think this is a big part of the tournament as a whole. It's like your whole lifestyle changes, right? And you have to prepare, and you have to get your body right, and so that you can do well over this weekend. So it's that's another benefit of these tournaments is that it kind of keeps you motivated to stay in shape. So, you know, I guess the preparation like never ends, and it's more of a
Yeah.
lifestyle thing. You know, it just turns into a year round thing. But
It's
you know,
one tournament after the next, right? Like as soon
one
as we wrap
tournament
up
after the
BBA, we're
next.
gonna have MFL.
Yeah, yeah,
Hopefully we get to run
exactly.
that back.
Oh man, that would be awesome. But yeah, first things first, right? I mean, you got tough this weekend, and that's going to be pretty exciting.
Gotta take care of business there and
Your
then
team's pretty
get
stoked in
after
that
the
too.
BBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
definitely very in for that.
so Toronto, have you been to Toronto before? What are you excited about coming into this tourney?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've been to Toronto, love the city. I mean, my parents, like, they're coming because, not just, just watch me play basketball, but, everyone loves the food in Mississauga.
Yeah, yeah,
My mom's already looking forward to, like,
yeah.
we're gonna eat when we go there because,
Same, same.
it's like, yeah, we can't get Pakistani, like, great Pakistani food in Toronto. So, I'll
Yeah,
definitely say that the food is definitely one thing to look forward to, but then, yeah, I think it's gonna be like really cool in general, just going to another country, different atmosphere, and then as I mentioned, like there's gonna be a bunch of new people to meet, especially like young hoopers. Like that's something for me that's like really cool. Like, we get to see BBA evolve in terms of like the talent level and like the young generation. Like who am I gonna be playing against for the next 20 years, hopefully.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I know.
that's something definitely cool. Like, the expansion of the tournament, like that's definitely awesome for me. I mean,
Yeah.
what about you? Is same for Toronto? Have you
Yeah, yeah. I
been?
mean, the food scene's gonna be awesome, and I think the new guys, but then there's a lot of these older guys who played in tournaments from the beginning who haven't played in a while. So I'm like looking forward to seeing them again. The like Amar and what's Adam G. Hither's been playing in the last few, but like he's kind of back in the mix. T Sizzle, these all these guys were playing before, and so like it'll be cool to be on their home turf now and have them come out and play too. And there's so many Toronto guys that now we'll kind of see like the chemistry that they have and see how they play. I think that Northern Classic tournament they had was successful and brought out a lot of good players, and
Oh yeah.
and so it's going to be cool to see them in the big show. So I'm excited about that. Let's get to some rankings. I know that Mustan and Thaher went over some of their rankings
Yeah.
last time, and
It's the exciting part, right? Like
yeah, I
getting
mean,
weird.
it was nice that your team got some love, my team got some love. But what teams you got in your top three and why?
Okay, so I'm at one. I'm
Uh,
going to go. I'm going to go Abdul Hussein's team. That team just looks like
yeah,
they look scary, man. Like
yeah,
their top six I was looking at is like ridiculous. Like they
yep,
have, Muslim Bai obviously with all the experience and he's gonna be prepping, he's gonna be ready to play amped. But then, they also have a lot of size. They have Murta Dawood Bai, Dyer Baiji, and then they got some good like, Hussein Kambati, like as their like I mean, not that it means anything, but like their sixth guy,
yeah,
like he's a stud on defense. Like he guarded me last year and I was just like, man, they got some hoopers on that team, like
yeah,
defensively. I think that's gonna be a really good combination in terms of like scoring and also defense.
yeah. So that's your number one. Who do you got two and three?
All right, at two, I've got the after that has been really tough because I feel like everyone across the board, I'm looking at all these teams, like everyone's really good this year, but I got that combination of Cutlery and Ganj.
Yeah.
The reason I don't have them at one is because of like I don't really know the rest of their team, but I really just think like that combination is gonna be super scary. Like that pick and
Mhm.
roll is gonna be monstrous. Like
Yeah.
Hussein is a beast and he's just got unlimited motor. He wants to play gritty and like fight for every loose ball. And Ganch is like he's he's gotten better every year. Like I've seen it in his game. Like he constantly evolves his offensive game every year, and he's a guy who can genuinely anchor a team, just scoring himself. Like, I think that's gonna be a really fun combo. And then on my three, this was also really hard, but then I have you guys simply
Oh,
because of depth.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was looking at your guys' squad, I was like, I'm gonna be honest. Like at first, when I first seen him during the pre-draft, I was like, he's got some older guys like By and Gotti and
Yeah.
my who knows if these guys can even play anymore. And then, the full squad comes together and I'm like, wow, they're good 1 through 8. But not just that, like, you know, you, Riz, and Maher, they have played together so many times and always seem to put together like a really good squad. Like it's always a well-oiled team that, distributes the ball really well, shoots the ball really well, is disciplined. And then on top of that, you got some young guys like, QV and Dyer Sabat, who are like Dyer Sabat's like he's a beast, definitely super underrated. QV had a phenomenal year last year. Like, these guys, you've got a good squad 1 through 8. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the call, but I think like I genuinely think that's
Yeah.
a good team. But
Yeah.
apart from that, like I definitely think like I had a really hard time ranking because
Yeah.
I think depth is going to play a big role this year.
It always does.
Like
Yeah.
because some of these two mans are like um like combos are looking scary. Like
Yeah.
Boss and Anon just sounds really like horrendous to guard. Zakir and Ali Asgar sounds really tough to
Yeah.
guard.
Yeah.
Ali Akbar and Qasim will be an amazing duo. Like Dyer and Hustler. Like the list goes on, right? Like it feels like every
Yeah.
team is like, you know, 2 or 3 guys, like Tuza and Abbas. Like it just doesn't end. Like every team I
Yeah.
mentioned, these guys
Yeah.
are all like these are all great teams, and I think that truly speaks to like the depth this year. But I think now that's why exactly why I believe that like since we have all these like two like really strong two players, like it's really gonna come down to your bench. And a lot of
Yeah.
these teams I'm looking at, I'm like, I don't know your bench. Like maybe because of the auction, like you were people had to really do their scouting. They really had to look at like who they have, and I think whoever did their scouting the best and figured out who these sleepers are gonna have success in the tournament because
Yeah.
like the I think with the minimum playing time and everything that depth thing is gonna be very important.
Yeah.
Seeing
Well,
how
like we're kind of coming up on time, but I want to make sure we get through all these things. So I'll go through my top three real quick. And for all you out there, me and Malum didn't talk about this before we did this. So, but here's my top three. I got my number three is I got Hussein Dosaji. I like that team. It's young and it's long, and they got a lot of length. Mustansir, I think he's the reigning DMVP, so he took the next step. Mustafa Musabai is a good player. He's a good player, and then you got Hamza Baruchwala, and so that team is young, athletic, and long. So they're going to give some people problems. So I like that team. And then quickly number two, I got same as you. I got Mustan and Abu Dhabi's team. I think he's got a couple good big guys. Tahir Baiji is his number four. Is a great spot. I think I got them as my number two, and my number one is you guys.
oh, love it. Love to hear it.
I love the balance. I think you got some athletes on your team, and you got some height, and you got some veterans. It's that mix, and I think Dyer was talking about it on the last call about how to have balance and mix on your team, and I think you guys you hit that perfectly in terms of having all the pieces that you normally see on a championship basketball team. So
I was hoping.
I got you
Hopefully it's
guys
the
number
one.
one. Yeah, yeah. So let's see, man.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think you talked about it a little bit in your drafting style, but like, um, I would say that your outlook on your team, you feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, like the thing that, just to keep it concise is like the depth, like you'll see 1 through 8 is like I have no problem playing with any player in my team, and I genuinely think we're gonna have like a full 8-man rotation. It's not gonna be
Nice.
I don't even know if I have starters. I don't know who might
Yeah,
I don't know who is who. Like it's just like it's like the Bears this year. Like who knows who's on the
yeah,
depth chart? Like,
yeah. It's nice to
like
have that flexibility.
it's nice to have that flexibility where it's like there's
Yeah,
there's nothing set in stone. You have 1 through 8, and we're gonna run a great rotation. We're gonna be super stout defensively, and the offense will come, and we'll figure it out from there. So I feel good.
yeah. Okay, cool. Um, before we go on, I want to say that
What about
like yeah, so like in terms of I'm just happy that this year like I don't have to guard Riz. It is exhausting guarding that guy. He's just so big and strong, and so not to have to do that is gonna be a nice little break. Um, my team, I love the IQ, and I would have to say that the like older guy narrative. Um, I think it's kind of a lazy take, to be honest, and I'll talk about it. We can like lean into it and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah,
and joke
100%.
around about it because like it does stand out as an age. But I mean, you talk about I've been on teams where um, it all comes down to your preparation. So I've been on teams where it's like we're playing and like the youngest guy's like I need a break. Like
Yeah.
I can't. It's like wait a minute, you're 17. And so but then you look at like some of these older guys and how they prepare, guys like Mahir, Amar Yamani, Hustler, Kansab. I mean, these guys stay in phenomenal shape all year round and they are ready to go. So it doesn't matter how old they are. It's all about your preparation. And maybe if you're older, you have to spend more time preparing to get up to that level. But uh, it's comes down to who's committed to doing it well, and then coming down to execution too. And I think our team, as an older team, yeah, I don't think we're gonna run anybody out of the gym, but the beauty of basketball is that there's many different ways to win a game. And so like if we kind of play our way and execute in our way and keep those turnovers down and take smart shots,
I mean, your teams always have that.
well, yeah.
Somehow put it together. You put it together every year, so
So
it'll
we'll
be.
try to do more of the same. Yeah. So I mean, it's a good group, and there's not going to be a lot of like coaching necessary with these guys. A lot of championship experience on these teams. Riz is coming off one. Mahir's been to 4 finals. Shabir Hussein's been to 5 finals, won 3 championships. Galibai just won. QV just won. I mean, so there's
You guys got a lot of winning on your team.
these guys know how to how it goes down on Sunday. So there's not going to be a lot of cheerleading necessary, which would be cool. So, but let's do one more thing before we go. Let's do some predictions for the individual awards. All right, so we got MVP, DMVP, and Rising Stars. Who do you got for? Let's start with MVP. Who do you got?
I'm gonna take a non-Fatak.
Yeah,
Um, after last year, I felt like him and Zakir was like neck and neck, and
yeah.
I'm just thinking like this year is probably his year. And if it's not him, it'll probably be one of these young scorers, Ali Asgar or Abbas. But I really think
Okay.
I think it's a non's turn after that season last year. I mean,
That
he
that that
he
tournament
was
last year was
he was
awesome. Yeah,
phenomenal.
he was
Yeah.
phenomenal. What about your DMVP?
I'm gonna take Hasnain Dosaji.
Okay,
Yeah, either him
solid,
or I'll
solid.
take him at the one and then twos at the two. Both your previous teammates. I mean, those
Yeah, those
those
guys are
those
awesome.
guys are just always there. They're in your face. They're playing hard all game long. And I mean, yeah, I mean, thinking about like you mentioned Baruch's team, like they're gonna have Hasnain and Mustansir and Hamza. Like that's gonna be
That's
really nice
crazy.
offensively.
Yeah,
What about you in terms of MVP and DMVP?
MVP. I got Baby Conch St. Conchwala winning it this year. I think he's just due. He's had a couple awesome tournaments that made it to the finals a couple years ago, and then last year he was a scoring machine on Hustler's team. So I mean, like you said, if he's getting better, if he stays healthy, all those things, if they comes together again, I think he'll make a run at it. He's due. The MVP, I got either Cutlery, just because he's that high motor guy. He's going to be everywhere, and he's willing to do that kind of dirty work, or Fatak as well. Like if it kind of leans more towards a guard. So any of those two guys, I think, have a chance. Do you got anybody for rising stars that might kind of break out this year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any of like the brand new names, but if um, I can't think of some of the young kids off the top of my head. Do you have anyone in
No.
particular?
Yeah, I mean, like same thing where it's like it's hard to pick out guys that if they if we knew they were good, then they wouldn't be rising stars, or But
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think Mehlum Tapal. I think
Oh yeah,
he
Malum's
plays
on.
he plays a lot. He plays a lot of organized ball, and I think in the right situation he can do well. So um,
Yeah,
that's who I
I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Hasnain Hashmi. I mean,
yeah
another one of your teammates, but
yeah.
I mean, I know he's been hooping for a while. I know he was out. He was supposed to be on my team last year, but then had to drop out last minute due to appendicitis. So I was like, been a few
Yeah,
years since we've seen him. I think like, he might take that next step up in terms of adding the skill and putting some shots, and
yeah, he was
he's gonna have a
awesome
big role on that
for us
Cali
that
team.
1 year. Yeah,
Yes.
he was awesome for us.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Cool, man. I think coming up on time. Anything else you want to cover?
No, should be all good.
Yeah,
I think we got through a lot today. Still
yeah,
to get through, but got through a lot. It was
we
fun.
did, we did. All right. Well, man, this was fun, man. Let's do it again. Um, I do also want to quickly shout out my buddy. We were talking about preparation a little bit, and I think last year one thing I did was I started training with a personal trainer, my buddy Shoutout Carbide. He got me on a workout plan, and it was amazing. It just changed everything for me. And normally after these tournaments, I'm just like wiped out. But after kind of going through the workouts that he was giving me that was like specific to basketball and what I wanted to achieve, like I felt like, yeah, that after the tournament was over, and we had a deep run and we played a lot of basketball that weekend. And um, I felt like, I rested up that day, and I felt like for the first time ever, like I probably could have played basketball the next day after that.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Yeah, that's
it makes a
how
difference.
many guys are
And
saying that.
yeah, and I never thought I'd be like that or that was even possible. But like, uh, just learning, how to work out the right way makes all the difference in the world. So maybe we'll put a link to, his website on the comments or whatever. But shout out to him too. Anything else you got, man?
Nope. Had fun. It was
All right,
great.
man. Stay healthy. Good luck and
Yeah,
tough this weekend, man.
thank you.
Bring
Thank
it
you.
home.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, cool. Thank you
See you.
guys.
Yep.